It's an honor to host this timely and significant discussion. I'm delighted to see many professionals from various sectors joining us today. This initiative marks a crucial step forward in not only enhancing electrical safety standards, but also in recognizing the expertise of those dedicated to maintaining these standards across our industries. Today, our panelists shall explain about the scheme, its implications for professionals in the field, and how it aims to elevate the safety, efficiency, and reliability of electrical systems in India. Before we start the program, I would like to encourage all participants to engage actively with our speakers. Your questions and perspectives are invaluable to enriching our discussion and driving the advancement of electrical safety. Let's embark on this informative journey together with the shared goal of shaping a safer future for everyone involved in the electrical profession. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to an engaging and enlightening session. I would now introduce the speakers for today. Mr. Gopakumar is an electrical engineer. He is the founder and promoter of Cape Electric Private Limited, Cape Electric Power Production Private Limited, OBO Betterman India Private Limited, and LP Consultants International Private Limited. He is also a member in the technical committees of Bureau of Indian Standards, ETD 20, ETD 30, ETD 50, and National Building Code 2016. Also, IEC TC 64, TC 81, and SC 37A. Mr. Anil Johri, former CEO of NABCB, has a distinguished 43-year career in quality assurance, standards, and accreditation. Under his leadership, NABCB attained global recognition by securing multiple international equivalences across various domains, positioning it among top accreditation bodies worldwide. Beyond his role at NABCB, Jory actively engages in India's trade negotiations, notably with the USA, and collaborates with the Department of Commerce of Trade Policies. Additionally, he serves on prestigious boards, including those under the Ministry of Ayush, and is a member of the CDM accreditation panel of UNFCCC. His expertise has garnered national and international acclaim, evident from his collaborations and esteemed organizations like UNFCCC, UNIDO, and WTO. Mr. D.K. Krishna Kumar is an executive engineer and senior manager in the Central Public Works Department and more than 30 years of experience in various E&M services like internal electrification, substations, firefighting, fire alarm, ELV services. He has authored a book titled BMS for CPWD engineers that is available on the CPWD website. He has been involved in all aspects of building, planning, design, construction, and maintenance. Major works include SEBI Bhavan in Mumbai, the Nano Manufacturing Technology Center of CMTI, Bangalore, and E&M services for the infrastructure development work of the HAL helicopter manufacturing facility at Gubi near Bangalore. He was involved with the design, tendering, and initial execution of the customs enclave project in Wadala, Mumbai, and it's involved in multiple projects in CPWD, Mumbai. He is member of ISHRE and FSAI and founder member of NFE. I would now request Mr. Gopakumar sir to carry over, and sir, I forward it to you.
Thank you very much, Arya. So today we are going to have one of the repeated programs of our NFE. One moment, I will just put the. We already conducted few programs on our scheme. As all our members know, we are very seriously working on professional certification scheme, which we call as ESPCS, Electrical Safety Professional Certification Scheme. But for the non-members, I would like to make a small introduction about NFE. We started NFE last year, National Federation of Engineers for Electrical Safety. We are registered in Chennai. You can see the registration date, which is on 15/9/2023. We are, very new and we are just born association. But within a year, we could get more than 1,100 or probably about 1,200 members. We are a group of passionate engineers, engineering professionals working in the field of electrical safety. It's not only electrical engineers, but professionals, those who are working in the field of electrical engineering or electrical safety. We have a lot of members working with State Electrical Inspectorate, Central Government Inspectorate, as well as with various industries working as sometime safety auditors, designers, contractors, and so on. With more than 1,000 members, we are very actively participating in several activities. I'm sure most of you are already aware of it. Our vision is to make every electrical installation safe from electrocution, or in simple, make India electrically safe. One of the mission which we have took up is to enhance the quality as well as the knowledge of electrical engineers as well as the product. As a result, improve the situation of electrical safety in the country. We were doing a lot of awareness programs. As you know, in last 1 year, we conducted more than 23 one-day and two-day workshops, several webinars. In between, we started the documentation of the scheme almost 6-7 months back. Now the scheme is launched 3 months back. Now today we are the aim of the program is to introduce what we mean by this particular scheme. As all of you know, the purpose of the scheme is to make our Bharat electrically safe. Lot of accidents are happening in our country. In our WhatsApp group, most of you know that the number of discussions which is going on with respect to accidents, people are getting killed, animals are getting killed due to electrocution. Fire from electricity in buildings are quite high. And once when we look into some of the technical aspects, electrical safety is most often not taken seriously. It is sometimes, a careless approach has been made. So with this scheme, we are trying to make, or we are trying to find out, or we are trying to practically make the definition of IS 732, for example, where the definition of skilled and competent person is given. A skilled person means a person with the technical knowledge or sufficient experience to enable him or her to avoid danger when electricity may create. Which electricity may create. A competent person is a person who possesses sufficient technical knowledge, relevant practical skills, and experience for the nature of the electrical work undertaken, and is able at all time to prevent danger and, where appropriate, injury to him, herself, or others. So basically, we are trying to create skilled and competent persons, those who can take care of electrical installation with respect to design, erection, verification, and maintenance. So with this short introduction, we would like to invite Anil Jawri sir to make a short presentation or a short introduction of what exactly is this scheme. After that, we will go to we will introduce the scheme of NFE. Over to you, Anil sir.
Hmm. So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. Gopakumar, uh, for the introduction and inviting me to be present here to share the concept of professional certification as we have followed in this scheme. So, let me get on to my presentation. All of us are aware about the traditional approach to competence. We used to say that if you have a certain amount of education, you have a certain amount of experience, maybe some training, you are competent. This is traditionally how we viewed competence. But globally now we are looking at redefining competence and shifting from what is essentially a qualification based system to a actual demonstrated competence based system. Now competence itself is being defined now as application of knowledge and skills, and or sometimes knowledge only is needed, sometimes a lot of skill is needed, less knowledge, or a combination, and it is to be demonstrated. So this is how knowledge and skills competence is being defined. And what it requires is that you define the knowledge and skills for a particular job. For example, in this scheme, if we are talking of, say, electrical safety designers, then we should define what is the knowledge he should have, what is the skill he should have. Or electrical safety verifier, what is the knowledge he should have, what is the skill of inspection he should have. And then you leave the people, the professionals, free to acquire that knowledge and skills by whatever route. It could be by education. You could have done a course, formal education. You could have done some training, shorter training. You could have become competent by just working. I mean, you may not be very well educated. You may be 12th pass, but working on site, you have acquired all that knowledge, even by self study. So we don't usually. I mean, the it is possible to keep the route free totally. I mean, I remember in 2015, we designed a certification scheme for yoga professionals, yoga instructors, yoga teachers. And after great deliberation, we decided no eligibility criteria. As long as you can demonstrate that you have the knowledge and skills which we had defined in the competence standard, as we call it, you can be evaluated, you can be certified. Here, I think we have given some kind of qualification as well. And then how do you evaluate? It could be by an oral interview. It could be by a written examination. It could be by a practical demonstration. It could be observational. That means actually observing on you on site. I mean, as a thumb rule, I would say that if knowledge component is very high, an interview or a written test could be sufficient. But if as the skill component increases, you need to demonstrate. For example, yoga, you have to demonstrate. I cannot certify just based on an interview or a written test. I have to see whether he knows yoga asanas or not. But for example, I was also involved in designing a good clinical practice certification scheme. It's only knowledge. Do you know what is good clinical practice? So with a written examination, you can be certified. So this is a call which is to be taken when you're designing the scheme. Another feature of this modern day approach is that it's not one-time qualification. I mean, if I am a civil engineer, which I am actually, with a degree in civil engineering, forever I am considered to be competent as a civil engineer. But here, it's not a one-time process. It has a certain amount of surveillance, certain amount of recertification. Time period is given, and the emphasis is that you should be practicing your craft, practicing your vocation. I mean, for example, I have done civil engineering, but for 40 years, I haven't done any civil engineering work actually. So if you ask me today to design a structure, I can't do that. If you ask me to supervise the construction, I can't do that, frankly, regardless of my education. So if you don't practice your craft, you may lose that competence. So the concept is that you not only are given not a forever certificate, you are given a certificate for a period of time. There is some way of seeing that over a period of time you maintain that competence. There may be changes. I mean, we are seeing so many changes coming on, new gadgets coming in, even in electrical safety. So you have to keep yourself updated that what is the latest technology which is being used, or latest instruments which are equipment which is being used, etc. So that is also another area. And actually, this fits in areas where there's little or no formal education. I mean, if you are going to be an engineer, perhaps a degree in engineering is good enough. But there are several areas where there's no formal education. Like yoga was one area, there was no formal education really. There are certain places, there are some courses like MA in yoga or MSc in yoga, but equally there are all kinds of training programs going on. Baba Ramdev is running one, Art of Living, Shri's Art of Living is running one. BKS Iyengar School of Yoga. So a number of them are there. You could have acquired knowledge and skills by any route or any one of them. So it is very useful where there is no formal education. Now we all know electrical engineering is a very well-defined subject, but electrical safety may not be as, I mean, as it appears talking to experts like Gopkumar, that electrical safety may not be such a easy subject to deal with or is not learned so well during your engineering and during your practice also. So you may need an additional input for electrical safety through a short-term training or otherwise. So therefore, it is also qualifies to be a place where there is, not that good, well-defined formal education. Now, globally, this voluntary certification, whether it's personal, whether it's product like say ISA mark or egg mark, or it is process certification like organic, internationally, there is a model which is operating globally. I mean, there are a number of schemes. You would be surprised that there may be more than 300 to 400 schemes globally which are operating globally. And then within a country, some schemes operating, we won't even know. I'm talking about global operation schemes. Now, a typical structure would be that there is somebody who is an owner of that scheme. That's called scheme owner. In international terms, it's called scheme owner. In this case, NFE is the scheme owner. You decide, the NFE decides the certification standard or criteria. Standard, sometimes standards are there. You only draft a criteria based on that standard. Sometimes you write the standard. I mean, for when we wrote for yoga teachers, we wrote the standard ourselves because there was no such thing existing. But in case of safety, there are standards existing, IEC and BIS standards existing. You can base your criteria on that. So you may not have to write a standard fully, but you can, define a criteria. Then another important thing is that you should lay down a uniform process. I mean, for every candidate should be put through same process. And if there are a number of bodies involved, as in this model there are, then each body should follow the same process. So therefore, it's very important to write down the evaluation and certification process. And as also I said, you have to design whether you want to go through a test only, you want to go through an interview, you want to go through a practical demonstration. For example, I was involved in designing a very offbeat scheme for traditional healers. I'm sure many of you have heard of them. People who are using herbs, the local knowledge, and they treat people, they're not doctors. So we realized that when we're defining that scheme, that we need to, they may not be, educated. So maybe written test was ruled out. Interview, yes, they can speak. We have interview. We also have a practical demonstration of how they dispense medicines, because they make their medicines themselves. They use local herbs and make medicines. How do they make? We also put in a provision that you go to their practice station where they are practicing. So if they are practicing in a remote village, the whole team of 3, 4 people goes all the way to that village, 200 kilometers away from where the certification body is situated, to see how he practices, talk to him, talk to his patients. So depending on the area we are working in, we have to design that process. As I said, combination of written test, oral interview, or practical or observational thing. Then typically you design a scheme logo so that the scheme is known by that logo, which stands out. Managing development is one part. I can tell you, having been involved now in more than 15 such schemes, having been involved, that developing a scheme is much easier. Managing it and making it acceptable among stakeholders is a much more challenging task, as we are discovering now that despite there seems to be a demand for electrical safety professionals, yet it's slow to take off. Any other measure to promote certification and seek acceptability in the market. So it's, as a scheme owner, it's our responsibility to go around, make it acceptable, promote it among professionals as we are doing today, get some certification bodies on board, get training institutions to get into and get involved in training, um, get users involved. For example, hospitals, they need electrical safety professionals. Hotels, they need. So as a focused manner, talk to these stakeholders, to start prescribing that, okay, they want a certified designer, or they want a certified, they want to do an audit, so certified verifier, etc. That's how we will promote the scheme. So as I said, there are three pillars on which all globally all schemes are built. One pillar is a standard or criteria. The second pillar in this case for the person is designer, verifier, or installer in our case. Second is the certification process. Third is the competence of certification bodies, which comes through what is called accreditation to international standards. And this is where the international standard ISO 17024 comes in, which is for bodies which are certifying persons. This is internationally a common standard, is being used internationally, and therefore it helps us to say that our scheme is based on international standards. For example, the criteria for professionals is based on, say, IEC standards. Same standards have been adopted by BIS, and the process of certification is based on international standard like ISO 1724. So then you can say that both components, the base standard for certification and the process, both are international. It actually helps you gain international acceptability. When you go out into the world, you may be able to get more acceptance outside with this kind of certification designed in such a manner. The development process of the scheme followed an international best practice. Again, there are international best practices written down. There's a code of good practice for standard setting. It's in a WTO agreement called Technical Barriers to Trade. There's an Annex 3, which lays down a code of good practice. All known standards bodies, including ISO, ICBIS, all have subscribed to this code. So this code essentially says that the development should be done by a group of experts. It should involve all stakeholders. There should be provision of public comments. There are three, four, and it should be transparent system. So this is common to all standards setting you can see around the world, which is what we have also done. I mean, we had a public consultation. We had a small group of experts of electrical safety, as well as people like me who understood what personal certification is, how it can be designed, how it can be operated. Then we had a public consultation. We had the draft scheme go onto the website of NFE. We gave time for people to comment. People came back with their comments. We have a multi-stakeholder steering committee which met and finally approved the scheme. So we have followed the international best practice process. Now what has happened is globally that the accreditation bodies like NABCB, where I was CEO, are now obliged to look at the process of development of a scheme. They are supposed to evaluate a scheme before they provide accreditation to certification body. So having a good process like this also helps us to get through that process of evaluation which the scheme will undergo when the accreditation body gets involved. So coming to our own scheme, now it's very clear what is the scheme. I think it should be clear to everybody. Number one, NFE is the owner of the scheme. There's a core group, as I said, comprising both electrical safety as well as personal certification experts. The development was done by that core group over a number of meetings. We had remote meetings. Public consultation was done by placing the draft scheme on the website. Comments were considered by core group. It finalized the documents. These documents are placed in front of the steering committee. We have Mr. Krishna Kumar, chair of the steering committee, also present here. And once the steering committee approved it, then the scheme was launched somewhere in, I think, November of last year. The scheme has been launched. So these are the specific documents you'll find. One is the governing structure, which is what NFE decides what kind of governing structure they will have for the scheme. It's their prerogative. Criteria for certification and different categories. What is the criteria? What is the eligibility? What is the knowledge that you should have? What is the skill that you should have? The process of certification. Again, there's a document you'll find on the website. Now, in case of personal certification bodies, please remember NFE is not directly going to certify. NFE is the scheme owner. NFE is going to rely on professional certification bodies to certify. These professional certification bodies will ultimately be credited as per international standard ISO 17024. When the new scheme comes, how does the certification body enter the system? Because until it enters the system and his name is on the NFE website, nobody will come to this certification body for certification. So what we do is globally, there's a system that we design a provisional approval process. In that provisional approval process, we have a simplified criteria for the personal certification body, essentially to judge its competence. Does it have the competence to certify electrical safety professional? And does it understand the scheme? What kind of process is there? Do have those systems in place to operate this system? Once we do provisional approval, and we have right now, I think 2 applications are being processed in NFE, 2 certification bodies have already come forward. Then they will be provisionally approved. Their name will go on to NFE website. Any of you wants to get certified can go to those certification bodies and get certified. Subsequently, these certification bodies will be told that they should get ISO 17024 accreditation from an accreditation body like an ABCB, and then they are formally in place. Provisional approval first and a formal approval later on. And there will be, of course, rules for the use of logo. Once you are certified as a professional, you would also like to use the logo of the scheme. Not only logo of the scheme, once the personal certification bodies are accredited, they can use even accreditation body. They are usually do. They usually also have the certification body logo. So there will be 2, 3, I would say, impressive looking logos on the certificate once the certificate is issued. So and a scheme owner has to have some rules how the certificates, how the logo should be used in case of any certification. So all these documents you'll find are there on the NFE website. So let me say that in conclusion, we have launched the scheme. We are looking at personal certification bodies. Some of them have shown interest. 2 applications formally are there. We need to quickly approve some personal certification bodies. The other part is, I think we are also realizing that we need more and more training. So we are talking to training bodies to come in and start training people, because I think the professionals do need some training into the criteria that we have designed. And actually, we are ready to go. We are absolutely on the website. Anybody can see the website. The moment the first certification body comes in, you can also go for certification. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the presentation. So probably before going to the question answers, we have a small presentation by DK. DK, you can share the screen. Mr. D.
Yeah.
Krishna Kumar is the chairman of our governing council, which is the apex body or the final deciding body on to run the scheme.
Hello everyone, I am D. Krishna Kumar and I'll just share my screen. Okay, good afternoon everyone. Thanks GKZ and thanks Jorisa for a quick explanation on the PRCBs and the process. So this is the NFE's ESPCS, the Electrical Safety Professional Certification Scheme. So basically, like sir explained, this is a body which we are taking up independently certification of electrical safety professionals. So this is purely a voluntary certification. This is not mandatory. The scheme is mentored and owned by NFE. And upon NFE, GK has already told it. The need is already explained why they require a electrical safety professional. So the methodology is, as Jaurisa explained, we are adopting ISO 17024, the requirements for bodies operating certification of persons. And essential requirements, you define the company's criteria, you define the process evaluation certification. And then, like NFE owns the scheme, it does not operate the actual assessment, it is done by assessment bodies. And we do requirements for the assessment bodies themselves, the PRCBs. The company stand prepared by electrical safety experts, and these were available for public documents for a month. And all comments were received in final document and present steering committee, which I chair. So the ESPCS schemes to evaluate 3 levels of competence. Basically, any electrical installation has to be designed, has to be installed, and then after installed be verified. So the basis of these 3 levels of competence are electrical consultant, the electrical installer, and the electrical safety verifier. So the outcome is that the governing structure is defined, the competence criteria is defined for each of these 3 classes of certifications, and certification process is explained, and the requirements of the provisional approval, like Jaurisa explained, right now we do not have a PRCBs involved in this process. So till they are approved by ISO organizations, we need to have a provisional approval. So these are also part of the documentation. The scheme was launched on November 29th last year. And the whole booklet, there is a PDF governing on the full scheme of electrical safety professional certification scheme, which is available on our website. So the booklet has got the full process of how do you operate. This starts with the governing structure. what is the objective of the structure, what is the scope, what is the scope of the governing organization, the steering committee. The steering committee is composed of one chairperson and then people from various departments or organizations involved in electrical safety. This includes right from the safety inspectors of various states, the electrical safeties, and then the CEIG, the central government, and then the national standard bodies, the BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, and then we have got industry bodies like FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and EMA, and then news organizations, any two of them like Focus, CAHO, AHPI, IFE, Chamber of Commerce. And then since the certification is involved, we got third-party certificate services like TIC, ACBI, and accreditation bodies like NACB, NABCB, and then healthcare accreditation bodies like NABH or QAI, and then research organizations, academic organizations like CPRI, and technical experts who are in their own field or experts, we call them. All these are part of steering committee. And then there are rules of appointment of committee, which is defined in the document. And then how we operationalize this whole scheme, the roles of various organizations involved in the operation of the scheme. And then there is a separate process for any complaints or appeals. In this scheme, which is run by multiple bodies under the ownership of NFE, there might be some complaints which are to be resolved. All this is documented. So this is the brief of the overall picture. The NFE is the mentor. And then we appoint a steering committee. The steering interns as a core group. And then secretariat, which is supported by NFE if required. So NFE will own and operate the scheme. There will be a post certification body who will certify the professionals as per the scheme for voluntary certification of ES professional. And then once this is done, the certification is given as certified ES professional, electrical safety professional. The competence criteria, like again, each class of certification has got a competence criteria. The objective is that the aim is establishing competence criteria to provide a clear definition of competencies expected in individual seeking professional certification. For this, for the design and selection of various components, we have got the NFE certified electrical consultant. For the erection and installation, we have got NFE certified electrical installer. And for verification, it is NFE certified electrical safety verifier. So for the NFE certified electrical consultant, we got roles and responsibilities defined. So the roles and responsibilities are in the document. I'll just briefly read out what are available here. So designing of installations to provide ensure protection and safety of human beings. Designing of installation to protect against thermal effects. Designing of installations to protect against injury or damage due to excessive temperatures. Designing of installations to provide against voltage disturbances and electromagnetic influences. Designing equipment in a workplace while considering space requirement. These for maintenance aspect of you can't just crowd panels and then say it is fine. It is electrically or installation very good. So for the design part, you have to ensure that there is enough space for maintenance also. The prerequisite is a degree in electrical engineering or appropriate qualification electronics with an experience of minimum 2 years. For diploma holder, it is diploma plus 5 years. And apart from this, the prerequisite is that should be certified by a consumer or a customer with a connected load of more than 100 kW. Thus, you were designed for a customer who has got a load of at least 100 kW. So knowledge is he should know about the characteristics of supply of voltage, the current, the frequency, the impedance of circuits, and then he has to have knowledge about optimizing the design based on number and type of circuits. Should have knowledge about electrical supply systems. Should have knowledge to select electrical equipment compliant to IEC or equivalent Indian standards based on the voltage, the current, the power factor, the load factor, and on that. He should also have knowledge about the harmful effects of power factor, low power factor in the inrush current, asymmetric loads, harmonics, everything. and then skill. So we depend, like sir explained, this is a consultants, certified consultants are graded on both knowledge and skill. Knowledge is what you acquire through your study, skill is what you have through experience. So skill is important here. We have skill in creating SLDs, BO, the bill of quantities, and production schemes, the relay setting. All these are skills. They develop only on on-site experience. So these are all required for you to be certified as an electrical consultant. In terms of installer, again the roles and responsibility defined. Roles and responsibility include good workmanship and proper materials. The equipment installation shall be in accordance with the instructions or manufacturer's directions. Then the materials and components shall not be damaged during installation. These are all prerequisites. And then the routing, the glanding, the termination of cables, etc. should be carried out as per the best performance. Prerequisites, we understand, like Jorsa explained, this is a very customized scheme. We understand that education is not a criteria for a proper installer. So education is not a prerequisite. You should be able to understand the scheme documents. Basically, when the designer gives you a drawing to be followed, he should be at least able to read the drawings and then install it according to the drawings. So what we ask is his ability to understand the scheme documents and defined criteria. That's what we will ask. Education is not experience, it's not mandatory. Experience is at least minimum 2 years experience in installation and operation and maintenance work, including installation and commissioning of products or equipment such as UPS, transformers, drives, panels, BMS systems, all these. And then again, certified by contractor with more than 250 kW connected load. For the design, it was 100 kW. For install, it is 250 kW. The knowledge, should have knowledge of conductors and terminals and should be identified according to IEC 60445. And it should be installed such that heat dissipation is not hampered. And any equipment likely to cause high temperatures or electrical arcs shall be placed or guarded so that to minimize risk of ignition. And then the exposed cost of electrical equipment to be taken care of and provide suitable warning signs. And in case of additional alterations to existing installation, you should be determined that the existing cables should be able to carry the load or else provide for changing the incoming cables also. And then look at the earthing and the bonding arrangements so that the protective measures applied for safety shall be adequate for the new installation or alteration. Skills, again, this is knowledge required. The skill set is connections between the conductors and the equipment shall be made that the safe and reliable contact is ensured. Production device are optimum and effectively deployed. The word used is optimum, not over using the production. It is optimum design should be there. And then deployed as per requirement, as per design, because the installer will not decide what to be put. It will be done by the designer, by the consultant. He will just try to implement it as per deployed. And then circuit as per design outputs of cables and sockets. And then you should have the workmanship in sense of aesthetics. We neat and efficiently deployed cabling, earthing, cabling accessories, etc. This is so far as the installer is concerned. For the safety verifier, the roles and responsibilities. Verification as per electrical installation. Just note some verifying. I would like to speak on verification. So most of you know about audit. This is not a safety or electrical audit. This is verification. Audit, to put it very simply, is a random selection of, for example, your financial audit. When auditor comes, he looks at, you submit him all the vouchers or all the receipts. He randomly selects 3 or 4 receipts and see if it is okay. If it is okay, it's assumed that rest of all 94 are fine. You give them 100. He selects a random, he selects and sells them. In verification, we can't avoid that. In verification, what we do is we go for 100% checking of all circuits, all sockets, all lights, all fans, every installation, every point, every outlet is vetted, checked for safety and not only certified. That is what means verification audit difference is there. So make sure that we are not auditing, we are verifying. Verifying means 100% verification. So again, verification shall be in accordance with IEC 60364 or Indian standards as NEC 2023. And then the CE measures related to safety and electric supply regulations 2023. These up to 33 kV. And then before you actually commission, that is power supply is given, we do initial verification before being placed in service. And this is also done after any modification, very major modification. If you just add, if you major modification, if you not increase number of circuits, for example, if you're adding one more light point existing circuit, it verification is not required. But we add existing circuit is done, then verification again required. And then prerequisite, this requires certain amount of education qualification also. So for this again, like the consultant, this one, we require degree or diploma. Again, here also we have got a bit leeway in case the qualification may be waived off, in case the candidates provide sufficient evidence of knowledge, other means such as work experience. So here also we got, like, consultant is purely education based. The installation can be with education or education. Here also same thing. Electrical safety verifier also, degree or diploma electrical electro instrumentation, or the qualification waived off in case the candidate provides sufficient evidence of knowledge through other means such as work experience. Again, experience is post qualification, 3 is work experience field of electrical verification, or should be involved in establishment of installation like cabling or earthing system, road devices, equipment, etc. And again, the third prerequisite is that should provide self-declaration professional along with the field form as per NEC 2023 Part 1, Section 17, Annexure D. If we go to NEC 2023, Section D, Section 17, Annexure D, it gives a format for doing verification. That has to be done. Should be done individually as a member of a group. Knowledge of all safety requirements as per IE 60364 or NEC 2023. And then knowledge of electric supply system for safety services. Knowledge as per IE 60364 Annexure EFG are equivalent, like I said, Section 17 of Annexure D. And then should knowledge on CAMS related to safety and electrical subregulation 2023. Skill. The skill set is the safety verifier is skilled in basic condition safety, selection of devices, inspection and testing value systems, test instruments, standards, everything. So these are all requirements for the 3 classes of electrical safety verifiers, consultants, and installers. Certification process, there's a whole process which you go through to get a certification. Again, the booklet on this safety ESPCS scheme gives introduction, the scope, which were just defined for the consultant, the installer, and the verifier. And the certification process is that first your register application is again done with the PRCBs. The person certification bodies do the whole process, certification process under the guidance of NFE. You first register for the application, and then your company assessment is done. Assessment method is there, wherein you have got both written examination. This is supposed to be a 3-hour examination for the written part of it, and 2 or 3 hours for the verification knowledge and skill. So every test has got practical, the knowledge part, which is the theory part, and the skill part, which is the practical part. Unless you pass both of these, you will not be given a certification. And the assessment part is done. This is again done by independent 3 or more engineers who have got the competence to do that one. And evaluation done by another body, another persons who are not involved in the examination assessment process. And then finally, after evaluated, you are given additional certification. One certificate is given, again, it is not a lifetime certificate. It is given for a specified period, which is 5 years as of now. And then there is a surveillance portion. The surveillance portion ensures that, a bit on the verification of knowledge and skills. It is for the verification, written examination for the is 60 questions in a maximum of 3 hours. It is an online open book. That is, you can use the book reference books like IS codes, but not obviously internet. And then you have to demonstrate area of specific skills to the committee consisting of 3 persons, like I told. The consultants, the skills category includes for a consultant to create electrical design specifications showing cable routes, and he has to calculate the minimum cable sizes for current capacity, voltage drop, fault current, distance condition, etc. And then verification of facility designed by professional as stated in the prerequisite by the examiner. So we'll do a question there. He has to verify the facility. Installer, these for second certification professional. Verification shall be carried professional as stated in the prerequisites. Verifier also same thing. He has to verification of works professional. The minimum percentage is 70%. Unless you score 70% both the theory and the practical, you will not be certified. And the assessment will take out in 3 months. Once you apply, within 3 months of registration, the examination will be done, will be taken up. And checking of welfare, this is done. Certification is done. Certificate. So certificate will be issued by the PRCB. The person certification body will issue the certificate, the logo of NFE and the logo of the PRCBs. And then the certificate shall have the minimum, the name obviously, unique identification number. The identification number will be unique for the each candidate. It will have name of the PRCB and reference to the certification scheme, the language used. As of now, we are starting with English only. As and when you have traction in the scheme, we'll go for further languages like Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, so on. And then the surveillance portion of it. So this is, like I said, it's not a lifetime certificate. You have to periodically update it. So for surveillance is that once the certificate is issued, within 2 years of certificate being issued, there will be assessment by the PRCB to review the actual of design service provided by certificate in the last 2 years. Within the 5 years period, in the third year, suppose I issue 2024, I issue a certificate. In 2027, the third year, the NFE, the PRCB comes and then verifies the actual design price provided by the certified professional. Same for installer and same for verifier. So in case you don't have any work done in the next 3 years, you will be given a chance to take up a work. So only unless you do this one, you will not, if not, certificate will be taken up for suspension. And recertification is again, this is after the period of 5 years. Then you have to again certify yourself. This might be required in case the standard changes. For example, NFE just came in 2023. Suppose a new edition of comes in which there is significant change in the standards and classes, then it may be required that you might have to recertify yourself or else attend a class, attend some workshop wherein the standards are again intimated with the changes being made. So make sure that you attend the classes. So you will be certificate will be in good standing. If not, it will be suspended again. So again, there is a change in our certification. These right now is not is a future provision. In case we decide to have level certification like A level, B level, C level, certificate level 1, level 2, level 3, that will be done later date. And suspension again is for in case you do not conform to the requirement of the scheme. And then that includes unsatisfactory performance or any serious complaint or feedback. And if you don't pay the fees or the certification terms and conditions are violated, then certificate may be suspended. You will be given a show cause notice to prove why we can't withdraw a certificate. And then the cancellation is there wherein you seriously contravene TNC of the agreements and violate provisions of the scheme, or if you are given a chance to change, in case suspension, you are given a chance to modify the scheme or take corrective actions, do not comply. After 3 months, the certificate will be changed suspension to cancellation. And anything that you may do which may disrupt you to the NFE will be cancelled again. And in case you yourself require to cancel certification, it's voluntary want to cancel certification, then we do it. And then the fee structure will be done. This will be announced by the PRCBs. As of now, the fee is still not finalized. And then, like I said earlier, the PRCBs are there.
DK, 1 minute. Can we skip this professional approval part?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. This is already done by Jauri sir. This is what will be done by the PRCBs. So we are now open to questions, if any, unless Gopam, anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, I would like to make a small one slide, if you can
Yeah,
allow
please.
me to share. Sorry, this is about only one slide.
Yeah, no issue.
Uh, Challenges which we are facing. Say, for example, most often the participants are asking questions like how the scheme is working, or when we can apply, when we can write the examination, and questions are related to that. So please note that the parties involved in this scheme is first one is PRCB, professional certification bodies. These are the bodies, those who will be certifying the candidate. Then there will be training organizations, those who are conducting training. So now for PRCB to conduct the examination and evaluate the candidate, they need examiners. Examiner means a person who can, like a teacher, like an examiner. So we need actually trainers and examiners. Trainers will be training the candidate, and the examiners will be supporting the PRCBs to conduct the process of certification. So now the question is, our certification process is the competency has to be displayed based on the IEC 60364 standard. We already started training of trainers and training of examiners. So we need already a lot of candidates are there to apply, but before accepting the application or before proceeding with the scheme, we need a lot of trainers and examiners, as well as professionals, knowledgeable professionals to support the scheme, because we have to, for example, appointing a PRCB, we need to evaluate. So there will be an evaluation committee, and experts are required as volunteers for NFE for handling this whole chain of this particular process. Probably a candidate can apply for the certification maybe in next 3 to 4 months, provided we approve one or two PRCBs immediately, probably within next 1 or 2 months. If there is a mistake, probably Anil sir will correct me. The most important, or the most important request which we wanted to make in front of you is, we need trainers and examiners. These trainers and examiners will be paid. This is not a free voluntary job. Trainers will be paid by the training organizations. Examiners will be paid by the examining, PRCBs will be paying the examiners. So this is one request which we wanted to make in front of you. The second one is, already we started getting request from several members to start a similar scheme. For example, solar PV. I think Mr. Ellaling of Solar Edge is already there as participant in the program. If Mr. Ellaling is there, probably Mr. Ellaling, you can explain what exactly you are looking for. So this to make a small introduction of what we are looking for. Probably we can go with the question answers. Mr. Ellaling, if you are there, you can raise your hand, and probably you can.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please.
So with the new impetus on the solar rooftop and solar PV, so we can have a certification PV scheme for the solar installers also. And there is a huge need, because a lot of people that are currently installing are probably, I wouldn't say they are not aware of the standards on how to do the installations and stuff. So I see a huge opportunity for the solar PV.
Correct, Mr. Elaling. But the problem is, see, already there are several organizations like the Solar Society of India, then UNERT, and several organizations are already making training programs on solar PV installation. And what difference, if we start a scheme, can make to the society?
Most of the schemes or certification or training courses that are being run currently, sir, in the market, they're all focusing on the I would say the design and selection of the product. not actually following the like cabling of DC AC cable remains same irrespective of where you are installing. So the what I'm trying to say is the standard compliance is what is missing currently.
Okay, in that case, for example, the products which is already sold in the market, let's say the solar modules, the inverters, they are already in compliance with the standard. So what is the missing part here? And I
The
think these organizations are already training people on the how to select the module, how to select an inverter. Those things are already there.
correct.
Then what is missing?
Uh, uh, the missing part is the installation, the correct way of installing the products, the cabling part, earthing, installing the lightning arrestor, choosing the right type of lightning arrestor. These parts are missing.
Okay, so basically the wiring and making a good installation. That means not only the component, integration of all the components together to make it efficient and work reliably. That is
And
missing.
yes, and making sure it is as per standard. So right now, whatever there is a standard template which people are following. So I'll give just one example. There is a huge misconception that the DC and AC earthing should be separate in the market. So they put for a 100 kilowatt system, they install roughly around 6 to 7 earth pits, which is not really necessary. So this misconception or making sure they are following the right way of equipotential bonding is what is missing.
Yeah, yeah. Not only that, in our programs, we were also discussing about double insulation or reinforced insulation. Most of the time, the DC side double insulation is also compromised. So sometimes the combiner box manufacturers, they don't understand the importance of double insulation. As a result, they try to make it as small as possible or as compact as possible. Finally, end up with trouble if the customer is unlucky. So yes, we will listen to Anil sir probably after some time. We have Mr. Sanjay Mulai. Mr. Sanjay, you would like
Yeah,
to speak?
yeah. I have one question regarding that. Okay, in this certification, we said that we are going to conduct, KRCB is going to conduct written exam and then practical exam. So my first question, practical exam, in the sense I need to have more focus on that. How how it is going to be conducted, practical exam. Probably written exam, yes, we can understand, but what is the methodology of conducting this practical examination, where DK sir has said you have to score 70% minimum in both the examination.
Yeah, for example, for the designer, we have a kind of a template. We are preparing a template which is a typical design, typical requirement of a client. So the candidate should design an electrical installation in compliance with the standard based on this particular question. So practically, they have to design in front of a committee or maybe in front of someone.
Then GK sir, this could be good for consult as a as a consultant, but maybe for verifier, what could be
Yes,
the same
see,
methodology?
there is a format in NEC, Part 1,
Mhm.
Section 7. This verification is running into about 20 pages. So, first of all, the candidate should be able to understand and fill up this format.
Yeah.
So, if you understand the format and start filling up the format, that is a practical, situation.
Oh,
Similarly, for the installer, he has to, for example, glanding, cabling,
yeah.
termination, those things are the practical part.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
So we have one more gentleman, Mr. Suhas. Mr. Suhas Kodre.
Yeah, yeah, sir. The gentleman asked about the some procedure about the solar PV installation. So I would like to just highlight the fact that in every state in India, the discom companies have already laid down the procedure for installing the solar PV modules and the solar rooftop and solar power plants. So they have already published their journal, their procedure on the website. And when the person from the DISCOM visit the site for the fact that particular particular procedure, and then accordingly he approves that. So I mean to say it's already in place that how the DC cable, how the AC cable should be placed, how the earthing should be there, what should be the depth of the earth pits and everything. So I think that
Because I understood the question, but quite unfortunate to answer to this comment. For example, most of the solar quality requirements of the DISCOM or of the some of the state government or the central government organizations, they are asking some requirements which is absolutely against what is written in the international standards. For example, the double insulation of DC side, you leave it, that is maybe a highly technical part. The earthing part, which Mr. Elaling explained, the standard had made very, very crystal clear that the equipotential bonding has to be made, whereas the technical requirement of some of the DISCOM, I'm just parallelly I'm opening the standard as well just to show to everybody. Parallelly, the requirement of this DISCOM are asking something which is absolutely against the standard. For example, they ask 2 earth electrode for the DC side, 2 earth electrode for the AC side, then something like lightning protection separate. And this is unheard of. These are not the standard ways of installation. I just share you the screen and show you what is written in our national standard, for example. This is from the standard of published by BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards. The standard is IS 17978 2022. You can see here, for example, on the right side, you see the PV generator. The DC side PV SPD, there is a equipotential bonding bar. Then at the inverter side, there is one more equipotential bonding bar. Then it goes to the main earthing terminal. This is the correct way of earthing for achieving safety and reliability in a solar PV installation. But what practically happens in the market is 99% of the cases is absolutely opposite to what is written in the books. So this is one subject. The second subject is, once when solar PV, let's say we talk about prosumer installation, the supply is coming from the generator, from the transformer, then sometime the PV is working in islanding mode. Imagine the supply is coming as a TT system from the transformer, but once when it works in islanding mode, the method of achieving safety in islanding mode is different. There, sometime a different concept has to be made. When we ask this question to the distribution company, unfortunately, 90% or probably 100% of the engineers are not aware of what we are talking. First question they ask, what is TNCS? We never heard of TNCS. For example, the regulation, CA regulation, safety regulation says the distribution company should provide an earthed terminal to the consumer premise, which is absolutely a TNCS system. In case of a TNCS system, and once when the generator, PV generator works on islanding mode, then the TN is lost. Sometime in case there is a chance of backfeeding the power to the grid. So unfortunately, such subjects are never discussed in our country, and these are never spoken about. Probably we can make a 1 hour or 2 hour session on this particular subject alone. So finally, the statement saying that the distribution companies and several organizations have their own standards. Unfortunately, their installation standards are really rubbish. Sorry to use the word, because it's rubbish. We were seeing several of such installation. They are very specific about the product which they are saying or which they wanted to use. For example, the module, the inverter, the wires, the cables, but how to install is what is missing. So sorry to give a detailed answer. I hope the answer is clear.
I understood it. I think the whole point of discussion here comes to the fact that the policymaker who are laying down this procedure and giving the decisions, or in fact laying down the manuals or designing the manuals for installation, they should consider all these facts and lay down the procedure for the installation. I think that is the fact of the
Correct.
whole.
Correct.
Yeah.
We are trying it for the last 10 years. For example, these policies came in almost more than 10 years now. These standards are existing or also existing for more than 15 years. But none of the solar PV, the policy makers didn't read it properly. Now the question is why a consumer should suffer because the policymaker didn't read it? This is one question. The second question is, for example, most of the time the poor technician who is coming to install the solar PV, most of the time he is unaware of several safety measures which he is supposed to do.
Correct.
So I strongly support Mr. Elaling that there is a big scope for improvement.
In fact, sir, just to elaborate a bit, if you ask any of the technician or installer, why are you doing earthing? So I asked this question before telling them that you should have a equipotential bonding. I asked him, why are you doing earthing? Oh, he always says, हमको बोला गया है AC पे एक करना है, DC पे एक करना है, इन्वर्टर को एक करना है, lighting arrestor one earth pit. We need, meaning the basics is what is missing. We also need to train people on why we are doing earthing.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Elaling. Mr. Suhas, probably your question is answered. If you have any points, please raise it. Also, over to Mr. Davis.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Very interested to know about the certification process. Now, I have two part of my questions. One is that, as you have just now told, I recently attended one solar PV webinar of a multinational company. And I was quite surprised. The lightning protection they are giving by ESC and earthing, when I asked them, they are all giving separate earthing for AC, DC, and so on. And when I asked this question of electrical safety, I was quite surprised. The gentleman who is the thorough technical guy, he was ignorant about it. And he said, no, this is not that. We have been doing it in all the countries, all the places, and so on. So there's one thing which I come last week only. I'm not quoting the multinational company's name here. Yeah, that is one. And second thing, now, one point what I noted, you are certifying three categories of people: consultant, installer, and verifier. Now, is it also issued, the certification is issued with a voltage level, or is it only for low voltage?
Sir, at the moment, it is as per the IEC 60364 up to part 6. So it is talking mainly low voltage installation up to 1000 volt AC, 1500 volt DC, including a supply transformer. Nothing above that. This is only for the consumer premise, electrical installation in the consumer premise, not about generation distribution, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was one point which I want to tell, because the person who has got certification LV is not eligible to work on HV and EHV naturally. And one more thing which I wanted to bring in, if you see the CEA 2023, I come across a safety engineer qualification. So it is 5 years after BE. There is a basic requirement for a safety engineer to be appointed by a utility. Now, when you are, when I was
actually
looking at
our scheme has nothing to do with the requirements of the regulation or by the state governments.
Okay.
Our scheme has nothing to do with those things. We are only making as per the ISO standard. I request Anil sir to explain a little bit on this subject. Anil sir.
Yeah, actually, whatever regulator prescribes always prevails. So if regulator has prescribed the requirement, you have to meet that requirement. What we have done is to define a voluntary scheme.
Okay.
I think there is no regulation as far as verifiers are concerned and as far as designers are concerned. Only in case of installers. Am I right, Mr. Gopakumar? Only in case of installers, there is some kind of regulation. That too of contractors, not of individuals. Is it? or
Yes,
there are
correct.
chartered engineers.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
also, sir, we are not trying to, make, something different. Actually, what we are trying to do is a lot of corporates as well as a lot of organizations are in need of experts, technical experts who can do a good job.
Yes.
All right. Right.
So, which is at the moment, unfortunately, missing in our country. We are trying to develop that, skills of the people to do a job.
Understand. Understand. Fully
So
understand.
it's a voluntary system where three categories of professionals will be certified. They'll be available to the industry. Anybody who wants a design or who wants installation or who wants an audit done, electrical safety audit, and can rely on these people.
Okay.
It will
Okay. Thank
support
you.
them in meeting. I would support it this way, that these kind of schemes support in meeting the regulations, whatever be the regulatory requirements.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. If I add one more sentence, this training institute, because I have been part of Siemens multinational company for 35 years. And at the last stage of my career, I started a training institute for Siemens. And that is for occupational safety. And electrical was one of the most important part of it. And I have been also trained in Germany. Now, the training institute, what you are talking about, is it how is it, which are the institute we are likely to consider? How is it actually? Because the training institute should have a practical provision, I mean, to test the knowledge of the people, I mean, the skill of the people, right?
Probably you can also start a training institute.
Okay. Now, I just want to know which institute, how is, because I've been part of one training institute I was a founder for doing that in Siemens.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir. Actually,
so
we
thank
need
you. Thank you.
more organizations. We need more and more organization as well as the people to support this great initiative. Would be great if more people can get in touch with us and start the
Okay.
training. But
Okay.
please note that training has to be strictly made based on the standards.
Okay.
So the class
Understand.
which we are conducting, we are educating line by line the contents of the standard, and people already, 9 classes are already over. So
Okay.
weekly 2-3 days we are trying to do it.
Okay,
Thank you very
fine.
much.
So maybe I will also, I can in person talk to you and then find out whether these institutes, the institute what some multinationals have, whether they can also help us in doing this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We have a question from Mr. Kamlesh Kumar. CAG approval is required in India, ensuring electrical safety and compliance, which is legal. Can NFE certified person signed the document in legal capacity? Mr. Kamlesh, actually, our scheme has nothing to do with the legal requirements or regulatory requirements. We are only making a voluntary certification scheme. Of course, since the competency is tested based on the IEC standard, there is a chance that chance of getting employment abroad, because we are qualifying based on the international standard. So we have another question again from Mr. Kamalesh. I am ECESCP, Certified Electrical Safety Compliance Professional by NFPA certification body. Is it now required to go for NFE certification? Mr. Kamalesh, sorry, we are not aware of this certification by NFPA. So we have a question from Mr. Vaibhav Jain. Is it equivalent to competency certificate given by Chief Electrical Inspector of State? Sorry, Mr. Vaibhav, it is not. We are not doing in that way. So there are few more questions, but mostly the questions there is no kind of serious question. If you have anybody like to interested to talk, probably you can raise the hand and maybe we can unmute yourself, or we can permit you to talk. If there is no further questions, Mr. Ramaswamy, you can unmute and speak. You should unmute, please. So Anil sir, any conclusion on the webinar?
As I see
audible,
from
sir?
the question. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, Gopkumar sir, you have shown some earthing diagram. From which standard, sir?
IS
Sir?
17978. IS 17978.
It is also there
179.
in
Sir?
it is from IS 17978 2022, sir, and it is also there in NEC 2023 Chapter 8 Part 8 on the solar PV.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will refer it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Over to you, Anil sir.
Yeah, so as we have explained in the scheme that there are going to be professional certification bodies who will certify. We are hoping that in next month in April, we should be able to have two certification bodies approved. So any of you who thinks he can be certified, he has the competence as per the criteria defined by NFE, please get ready. You could apply there and get certified. Number one. Number two, as Mr. Gopakumar said right in the beginning, we are in need of people who can be either examiners with the personal certification bodies or can be trainers with training institutions. I saw one of the persons saying that he would like to be examiner or a trainer. So please, the email ID is given admin@nfees.org on the chat box. Please send your CV to NFE and we should be able to connect you to either the personal certification bodies or interested training institutions who can then talk to you and examine you. We do need, this seems to be an area where there are very few experts. So we do need more and more experts. If you think you have the expertise, then please come forward and send your CV and we can connect you to the personal certification bodies or the training institution. They will, evaluate you and see whether you fit in with the requirements or not. For those who are wanting to be certified, just hold on. I think about a month's time, and you will have a couple of personal certification bodies. You could go there and get certified. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. DK, you would like to make any conclusion?
Yeah, that's what, like Jowri sir said, we are in need of trainers and examiners. So request all of you who are professionals, who got experience, to share knowledge and then come abroad as a trainer or examiner and then spread the culture of electrical safety. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. So there's a request to everybody. We need a lot of trainers because the next generation engineers need to be trained very well to handle our electrical installation. Also, as Mr. Davis told last week, he attended some program of a solar PV installation, and they were talking international company. So they were talking something which is not as per the standard. Unfortunately, this is what is happening in our country. Not only for solar, almost all electrical installation. The standard requirements are most often ignored due to unawareness. We are trying to build up knowledge on that particular front. So please do participate in our programs, especially the training of trainers program and examiners program, so that we have a pool of large number of trainers and examiners. Please note that you will be paid. It's not free. The trainers will be paid by the training organizations, or if you have capacity, you can start your own training institute. And the PRCBs, the examiners will be paid by PRCBs. If there is no points, then we will stop the webinar. Thank you very much. Thanks to all for participating this nice webinar. We will come back with more and more information about our scheme very soon.